Good evening. You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Planos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, in the Extreme Studios. I have, of course, here on the set line, we've got RDV from the Great Midwest, and tonight's movie review is going to be Equalizer 3 with Denzel Washington. Obviously, it's the Anton Fuqua. Uh, I hate to say trilogy, RDV, because they could do a fourth, and Denzel could just take my money right now, him and Tom Cruise both. But I got to tell you, this is a movie that I guess if Denzel wasn't in it, would you like it? But Denzel's just so
No.
goddamn good. I could watch him walk up and down stairs just looking around the town, and I'm like, oh, that's good. That's really good, and all that because this movie. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Well, people say it's ultra violent. I disagree. There's almost like the smallest amount of violence in this movie than
So,
the first two, but it's very very intense. I know you're not big into the hardcore slash and guts kind of thing or whatever. What was
so
your initial take on the film?
well, my initial take going in this film is going in is like I didn't hear anybody complain. Well, oh, it's gory or guts and all. As I was thinking, like, wow, he's up in age. uh, and it's been about a couple. It's been about 10 years. Has it been at least since Equalizer 2? It has to be at least around there, 10 or 7. I'll have to look it up. Fact
It's
check
been a
that.
while. Yeah.
Yeah, but so which I thought it wrapped up nicely. So I was like, okay, now you're just gonna come back. Is like, does Denzel need money?
Oh, come
Because
on now. Stop that. What are you talking about?
so this movie, like I said, the only reason it was actually any good because it was Denzel in there. If Denzel wasn't in it, I don't think I would have watched the movie. And
Did
I
you know
think
who
most
the
people would have
female
watched it.
was?
What's that?
Did you know who the female that was tracking them down, the CIA op, who she was?
No, I didn't pay attention to that.
Did you
No,
watch Man on Fire?
I hated that movie, so it kind of burned it on my retina.
Oh my God! Really?
Yes,
You're serious, bro?
I'm serious.
Okay, the little girl there, it's Dakota
The
Fanning.
Dakota Fanning. Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
I always loved
She,
Dakota Fanning. I thought she was natural. Now her role in this movie, that's a different story, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But yeah, so it sounds like we're on a little bit of different wavelength here with this movie, and
Mhm.
that's fine. That's why we talk about these things here. The one thing I'll say about this movie that I thought it did well was that you are correct. Denzel obviously is an older age, and we see that early on here he gets shot basically and recovers and finds out that this small Italian
Yeah.
town is he thinks is the place where he needs to be, and I loved it when
Well,
the movie,
well,
after the opening gambit, just kind of took its time, letting him heal, kind of letting him
they
just do
played
human
into his
things,
him
and
being
really didn't do anything. I thought that was the best part of it.
they played into him being much older because he made a mistake. He turned his back on the kid, let the kid shot him in the back with a shotgun.
Yes, that was
You know,
good. Wasn't
yeah.
expecting that.
And then yeah, so like the first 40. So after that, the was all right. But after he got shot, though, that's when the movie started taking to a crawl pace, finally, and then they introduced the bad guys. Then it started getting a little bit better. And I say that I still like when Denzel's being Denzel. Denzel is the way he talks, the way he acts.
Yep.
You know, especially in Equalizer, you're gonna get something good. I'm not knocking this movie saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying I've seen it before. I've seen Equalizer. I've seen the Equalizer in a 1 and
You've seen
2.
every movie before.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's nothing really that stands out to me. That's in a movie that that I haven't already seen before with Denzel or any other action movies.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think the hard thing with a movie like this, the revenge films, and we've talked about this briefly when we've reviewed a few Charles Bronson films, even though we still have most of the Death Wishes to complete here on the Extreme Movie Show, is that what can you give them that's different than the last film? And honestly, when it's a revenge film like this, you want to see them get it. And so the
Yeah,
question is do you up the do the sequelitis thing, you up the violence, the body count, and all this. Here, they kind of went the opposite route, and I think that was a smart thing to do because we'll watch anything with Denzel because we know what he can do already. We don't need to see it again. We don't need to see cute, clever ways of doing it where it's just like, oh, come on, or it's over the top. And I was surprised because for some reason, like I say, I thought some people were getting turned off by it, calling it ultra bloody and this and that. And you know how people
yeah,
whine when they write reviews about how it's, to your point, more of the same. So why make it? Well, why the fuck not? I mean, it's good. People want Denzel on
sure,
film, so do it. And here, part of the nice scenery here with the town where they filmed it helps a lot. We get nice, bright, sunshiny things.
oh,
And the
oh
the
yeah,
one theme here with older people, the lion in winter kind of thing, where you're older and you can't do what you used to do, but once in a while you can still do it maybe as good as you once did every now and then.
Mhm.
That's an old expression. I like the idea of him being weak, him feeling kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? I don't know. I'm just going to hang out here, chill and heal and all that. And you find some happiness. But I thought that could have done a little more with that if you really want to be picky about it. I didn't need it because I tell you, the thing he does best in this one, where I didn't see much of it in two, or that I recall, or a little bit in one maybe, but
Mhm.
even he just he almost has this humbleness about him, like, I really don't want to hurt you. I feel so bad that I'm gonna have to kill
This
you
was
here in
like
a couple
he's like,
seconds.
"I'm retired. I really don't want to do this,
I
but
don't
you
have time
forced me."
for this. And
Yeah.
so the few scenes where I'm not even gonna say the violence is there, because I don't even care about the ending act or whatever, where most of the violence is concentrated in. The
Mhm.
opening one is what it is, but then the scene where he's just sitting there, and people are taking their time getting to know him. He's learning the language. He's wearing the hat. He's getting better, getting stronger. It's enjoyable. It's pleasurable. You got
Yeah.
there's no expectations that, oh, there's got to be a body kill in the scene or something. It's just, you know. But
Kill yeah.
go ahead.
John Wick, kill him with a pencil or a spoon.
Yeah, where, like I say, I mean, okay, great. You can put more bodies in John Wick in the next film. Is it going to make it a better film? No. So this is where even movies like John Wick, to me, like I say, they've run out of steam. Yeah, I loved Killa, and I thought that was great.
Let's say it comes
Uh,
down to who the actor is. I
yeah,
love Keanu, but I love Denzel. Denzel has been in so many movies I've watched him, not just action movies. He's
yep,
been in like dramas or look at he's been in Deja Vu. He's been in The Bone Collector, where
yep,
he wasn't even the main guy, but he was there. It's and what was the other one? Ricochet was one of the other one.
yep.
In
We covered that.
Virtuosity. Yeah, like I said, Denzel has a way he delivers lines, and he's the. If you're a young black actor and you're not sure what you should do, how you should act, watch Denzel movies. Don't watch Will Smith. Watch Denzel. The way Denzel carries himself, the way he pronounces, the way he acts stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's missing from today is acting is that people there's Denzel raised the bar so high. Whether you're white or black doesn't make a difference.
Yeah,
He
agreed.
he just brings that kind of charm. You know, Bruce Willis was a crazy guy. John McClane. Same with Mel Gibson. But Denzel was kind of the cool, calm, collected guy. He was always thinking. He's always two steps ahead of you. And
It's interesting that you brought Will Smith too, because
yeah,
I'm not saying he doesn't have some talent and hasn't
he's the
spent years trying
comedy
to do it,
guy though.
but
That's
he's a
yeah,
goof. I can't take
yeah,
him seriously in anything, and it's not even a funny goof. It's like, ha.
yep,
And Denzel, even if you haven't seen all those films, you've seen at least a couple. Even if you're young, old, doesn't matter. And I think the thing about him too, the charm that you have in him, just the way he carries himself, that's what we're paying to watch here. We know he's Robert McCall. We know he's a badass CIA black ops guy, retired, can do all sorts of stuff. The movie doesn't get into it too much. Obviously, like I say, Dakota Fanning's character is somebody that he passes the tip on to. She comes looking for him. I thought, what's this bitch doing? Is she gonna try to get him
yeah,
involved in this and that? But he kind of reads her well, and he does it fine. And so, like, the interplay is really good. Dakota Fanning's a natural as well, so I thought it was really kind of neat to see her on there when they're talking. And even though the mafia type gang that's moving in his town, which is really the story here, and Denzel doesn't
yes,
want him there. Um, Gosh, probably the best scene to me, and was he's healing up. They're teasing a romantic interest slowly, but it seems more of a friendship. But
yep,
it's there, right? They
yep.
don't he's not making sweet love to her 14 times, to Sunday or whatever, and
He's
she's a
this
single
older,
mama that,
kind man.
no, we
That
don't need any of that shit, right? But she likes his hat. She shows him around cooking and this and that, and so he's eating one night in a very small restaurant, and of course he always sits with his back to the wall, right? Um,
yes,
and these thugs who he sees, come in, he saw them earlier, and they go up to the guy that's like the main copper like that, and they're harassing his ass, and he's got a cute little girl and all that,
mhm,
and his wife there is beautiful. And so the
yep,
way they frame the shot, you see the guys are in the center of your screen, the guys on the right, but Denzel is kind of just off center. So it's like almost kind of like the top, maybe top left of your screen in there. So I thought that was just a really great shot, because it's coming back to Denzel, so you're waiting for it. And it's a
yeah,
patient thing, and just the way they eyeball it, even though these guys are scumbags, I thought the guy did a decent job at least selling the role a little bit of being an
yeah,
asshole, the way he
yeah.
looked and everything.
it's believable. His character Denzel has always been built up. It's like he's like a lying in the corner. Like most people, are like, what the hell? They don't realize what he is capable of. So when he's just they focus on the other people going on, and then you just see him in the corner there, and I'm just waiting for him to just like this cup of coffee to sit there and just watch, and it's like I'm just ready to kick your ass. Uh, yeah, like you said, that it comes down to like the story, and Denzel is he's a name that puts butts in seats.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so
Tim's popping up in chat here, making a comment about
yeah,
Denzel's very good. Equalizer's just another mainstream action movie. Seen it before, nothing new, nothing special, right? You know what? Won't disagree with any of that. What I will
yeah,
say is because it's Denzel, you give it a watch. But the other thing about it too is they did change this up a lot more than what they did from the first to the second. Going from the second to third, to me, they're totally different movies. So I like this one a lot more than the second one. Second one was just I don't know, sequelitis, I guess. But the thing with mainstream action movie, and you
yeah,
and I have talked about this a lot at RDV, it's changed a lot over the years. We don't get a lot of it. And honestly, this has action in it. And yes, it's an action movie, I guess, but if the movie's say 90 minutes, 100 minutes long, you only really have maybe a solid good 10 minutes of action. They really cut out a lot of that, and what they
story
put
is
in there was
yeah.
very intense.
They pretty
I
much
didn't mind that.
they gave you the entire story in the trailer for the most part.
Yeah.
As a guy, he's a guy. He's a if you watch Equalizer, you know who Denzel is. His character. He goes to and he basically he's retiring in this place. He's like he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to. He's done. He's out of the game. He was actually done pretty much out of the game in the second one. But he's a guy. Have gun will travel. Sees something wrong. He has that natural instinct. He can't just sit there and not do anything. So as you see in the very beginning, he cleared out like a whole mafia in the place. But no, in this one it's like it's basically another thing. Basically he's minding his own business.
Exactly.
He's kind of living a retired life. He's kind of peace. He's like a warrior. Hangs up his sword.
Yes.
And it's forced to bring his sword up. Pick up sword again because assholes are just assholes, and they will not stop being assholes enough for him to have some peace and quiet. So he basically has to pick up his gun, and he's like, I love it. He's just like, don't make me do this, because he's like pretty much like we talk about John Wick when be the Baba Yaga. Denzel is more in the Equalizer than John Wick is. I think Denzel, his character in the Equalizer could take
John
Wick.
Wick versus Denzel.
Oh, Denzel would win by, dude. He'd win. There's no comparison.
John Wick, you better go home with your puppy, bro. I mean, or go find another one because,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, so the thing is obviously this movie, for those who don't know, I'll just say it real quickly, is based off an 80s TV show starring Edward Woodward and Stuart Copeland of The Police did the theme
yeah,
music to it. And it's a really trashy, disgusting opening thing. I highly encourage you to go on YouTube later and check out the opening trailer for The Equalizer, where you see the chick almost getting mugged on the subway or the elevator.
yeah,
It's just really great. And it's a little disturbing. That's what New York City was like for the longest time there till the 90s when it started to get cleaned up.
yeah.
And Edward Woodward was a guy that was obviously in the early 70s. He was in that. Well, it wasn't Hammer film, but remember how in 2006 there's a remake of The Wicker Man with your boy.
Yes,
Well, the original Wicker Man had Edward Woodward in it as kind of a naive Catholic kind of guy going to a town, and he has this obviously very strong British, background to him. But what was cool in the 80s is he's a retired spec ops guy. He has his glasses and he wears his trench coat and he's packing like a Colt 45 or something like that, some huge gun. And of
yeah,
course, back in the 80s, what do? You could set up a post off. A PO box and a random phone, and he would do that. And he put like New York Times or whatever the hell it was. Need help?
I don't know why for the life of me. I always thought it was Michael Caine was in the original show. Like I don't know why. I just like his face, but I'm like, no, it's not. I know it's not Michael Caine.
No, but I mean, there's some other
Yeah,
heavies in there. Only if
yeah,
you knew people at that time. But it was cool. He put an ad in the paper, and people would call him up, and he ended up busting some ass and
yeah.
whacking people with his gun.
I mean, it's shocking to learn that Queen Latifah wasn't the first Equalizer.
Stop it! Stop it! I don't want to hear it. Yeah, Ed's mentioning he doesn't mind the race swap. Yeah, because I tell you, when you take a property,
Well,
as long as you're pretty honest with it, in spirit, um, if
it's the
race
same
is
character.
essential
It's just a
for it,
race. That's all it is.
that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, so
They didn't change
This
anything.
guy
Just
kind of got
yeah,
his background from World War II and all that kind of stuff, I
yeah.
believe. And so here, Denzel's just got a background, but it's not quite that, right? So I
No,
mean, you can be a little loose with it.
it's still Black Ops, CIA, stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still the same thing. Maybe at the time, when this first movie came out, maybe he served in Iraq. You know, the
right.
first time the Gulf Storm.
Now,
Uh,
I'll confess, I've never seen any episode of the Queen Latifah one. When someone told me she was going to be in, I actually don't mind her, but I don't care about her either. And I thought, damn it, they're remaking my show. Why? Just like they
I
remade
just
Quantum Leap.
it just
Why?
sounds like
I
they're
know
doing
why, but
honestly, if you Queen Latifah, you put her into the TV show, it sounds like a movie. Like they're just gonna do like CBS is so stupid that like they're the comedy channel. Like I feel like they're gonna dig regular like boy what you know she's gonna be like going very very hard progressive into the whole stereotypical black woman as Hollywood likes to make them out to be. Well, they were basically like they're gonna hit someone over the back of the head, with a hand up like this, just like it just turned into a comedy where Denzel is just straight up serious and like
yeah,
it almost kind of feel for Denzel too, in this movie. And I'm thinking like this guy literally cannot escape his life. He the last movie he had to kill his friends, his former
yeah.
teammates, his best friend turned against him. He fought him in a freaking hurricane, man, down in
I
Florida.
know. Silly. What a silly
I,
movie.
it's,
Kind
it's,
of cool, but kind of silly. Well, the thing too is with Denzel,
yeah.
when you talk about this movie, when we see him just going out on his own, and the guy's like, "Hey, if you take a left here, that's the plaza. If you go here, it's there." And he's like, "Okay, thanks, grazie." And he's just walking around, and nothing happens. He's just walking around, and you see him having difficulty with him. You're giving him a chance to act, okay?
Mhm.
And to me, that was some of the most enticing parts of the movie. And I thought, oh my god, are we going to get a movie where we get to see him compromised and he still has to figure things out? That's kind of cool because
That's Denzel though. Every character he plays, he's always like thinking.
using
I
your
said,
brain exactly, and
yes.
yeah,
Uh, but we go back to 1990s. It was a 1998 Bone Collector. Same thing. He's using his mind in there. Trying to think out, trying to solve things, trying to figure things out. And then same Deja Vu, same thing. I said Denzel is the guy. He's known as the guy. He stands there, figures things out, and then has to race. Try and save the day. I said Denzel, and it's basically what Ed said. If this name's attached, I'm gonna watch it. Same with Tom Cruise, I'm gonna watch it.
yeah,
I don't even care how bad of them. I watched I watched the one with Jamie Foxx because Tom Cruise is in it. I
yeah,
don't care for Jamie Foxx.
yeah.
You know,
But I think that's one of Jamie Foxx's better performances to me. He was great as the asshole lawyer in Law Abiding Citizen, which has the worst ending movie of all time, or even worse than the
I
Meg.
I honestly they think Jamie Foxx he peaked on the Jamie Foxx show.
I
Yeah,
oh, I'm talking movie performance though.
I know, but
TV's different,
I'm saying
you know.
popularity it was the I don't know, but
Yeah.
apparently he's still kind of following though. Uh,
Princess kind of summed up what I took a moment or two early in the chat to mention. She's like, "This movie had less violence, but so wonderful. Love the slower pace." Yeah, and I agree with that. I think one of the other things too about
yeah.
watching this movie, seeing him get a little bit stronger and all that, I didn't think there'd be a big religious component to it, even though with the atmosphere that they're around, and that's okay. But here's the thing that I'll say. Honestly, this is probably the best acted scene to me, even though the one I mentioned before, where he meets one of the bad guys, or the bad guy comes in and he disarms him, literally, kind of, sort of,
Mhm.
which is great with a lot of restraint. He didn't have to go over the top. I thought that was great. But I think the best acting scene is he's walking around. This is like, fuck. I hope this happens where he's compromised. He has to deal with these guys. How can he do it? Um, he's walking around his usual path, or whatever. And he's coming around the corner, and he's walking around, and he turns his head away because all the thugs are beating the shit out of the one guy doing collections, or whatever, the fishmonger or whatever. And so I'll just
Yeah,
stand there watching by their bikes. So he's kind of forcing to not like make eye contact with them and walk around, and you can hear the guy screaming and getting beat in there, and it kind of stops. And the way they shoot this scene, where okay, it's plausible that because of where there's a cross placed on the side of the mountain, where these buildings kind of pause, he's like sitting there like watching or whatever, but you can see where the old guy knows that, hey, this guy, somebody can walk by you, but there's a certain glance you can get for a millisecond, and this guy's bad news. if you're paying attention. And the bad guy knows it because he's a bad dude. So they've already had kind of quickly locked eyes, and Denzel's trying to like really play it cool. And his front is to us in the camera, and the bad guys are all lined up behind him, so there's nothing he can do. And he's
Yeah.
just trying to like diffuse the situation or whatever. And it goes around, and when the guy's getting ready to get on his bike to leave, he looks at me like, you're like, okay, it's down, it's on right now. You don't have to have violence. You just have to have, stuff like that. And that's just so delicious too. And
Uh,
it's like, okay, I, I'm digging it.
Actually, I want to talk to and as asking if it was worth going to see in theaters or waiting for streaming. I personally would wait for stream. But if you were one of those people that has that you like seeing movies in theaters, watch it in theater. Um,
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, well, here's the thing. It made about 75 million this weekend. I think its budget was around that. So it's going to make money. So it's going to stay in theaters maybe a little bit longer, and say, obviously, Last Voyage of Demeter after week one, they took out like
I
50% of it, right? So
yeah,
I don't know if there's a preset date for when it comes to streaming, because I
I
would tell you,
I
I would
I,
watch this again on streaming. Absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out in November. If only in there for another month. That's it.
Yeah, it's is it worth shelling out the bucks? I mean, I don't go to the movies often,
Yeah.
but when I do, I'll spend it on Denzel. So I guess it just
Uh-oh.
depends on if you like to go. To me, this would be a good excuse to go out. It's not my wife's favorite type of film, right? We only go see one or two or three films a year, and sometimes we go to like Halloween movies they're showing at a film festival or something like that, where there was like wine or a special party or something going on, and we've been to movies in the park, those kinds of things. So, but I don't count those, right?
Yep.
But something like this, I was like, man, should I go see this? Should I go see this? And so I went and I saw it, and I was like, I'm glad that I did, because I'm sure it'll still look great on your ultra HD 55, 65-inch TV at home. But yeah, the religious thing, I mean, it wasn't a religious message to me in the movie. That's what I meant by how they didn't really get into it. But obviously, with where they
Mhm.
were at, and the church way at the top, and the shots and the festivals and stuff they were having, Princess is making a comment in there, and one of the things too that is good about that being a movie that I don't think people care about that much anymore, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure you'll have some insight on this here in a moment. But in our James Bond reviews that the young 20-something Professor Pix and I do, some of the best scenes to me are when you're traveling
And
around the world and
sure.
checking into a
And
hotel, and you see shots of the culture of where you're at. Because this
speaking of,
movie is, like I say, it's all filmed there, and they definitely show you everything, and they don't hide from it.
he's in Italy, right? Where he's in being healed up. They show you when it comes to before they show you in him driving stuff. They show the coastal town. Everything. You got the James Bond music playing. I was like, dang, they're actually throwing money into this. They actually are taking lessons from James Bond, because that was James Bond. Whenever they show you the city, they play the violin, the background. Play for a little bit, especially Octopussy. Remember, like they're
Yeah,
always play so heavily orchestrated. So I like that, a little bit of that. But when it came to like seriousness, they really cut it out. But they said that the scenery was beautiful in here, setting. I thought it was a good idea to have it take place somewhere other than the U.S. Have it outside,
I agree with you.
yeah, because to me that makes it more interesting, because now it's like he's international, waters or not waters, but I mean like he has no U.S. government to back him up,
Yeah,
pull him out.
he's rogue.
His friend's dead
He's off
too.
the grid.
Remember, and we got a little flashback to he's remember about his friend, you
Yeah,
know, she's dead too. It's like so this guy is like still in mourning a little bit. He's still and like I said, this is what I almost thought this would have been like the last Equalizer. Like Denzel's gonna say like I'm not gonna do another one. Like they were gonna give him a nice little ending at the end, and that's it. But if he does another one, I'll watch it just to give. Like you said, I want more Denzel movies. I don't care what he's doing. I don't care if it's Deja Vu, number 2, Electric Boogaloo. I don't care.
yeah.
I just want more Denzel. Like Denzel is, I said, he's one of those actors like that is so charismatic. It just commands your attention.
Yeah.
Just whispering, just talking normal.
And I think people that go see Denzel films, even though he's got like two generations of films where people of
Yeah.
all ages can watch him, I think they're probably more of a mature crowd, at least, when I've seen the last couple that he's been in. I distinctly remember was it 2010, 8, or whatever it was, 12, when the Book of Eli came out, and I went to go see it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I kind of like what's going on here. I didn't get it because I don't know if it was like, is
Yeah,
Denzel doing comic books or what? And then at the end, I went, oh, I get it, and
yeah,
oh, the physical deformity he had. I didn't realize that either. I was
yeah.
like, all right, you got me, Denzel. Damn it, you're good.
He
Take
looked
my
his
money.
shirt. He had a little human cat stuck to him as a little head, like kind of like in Total Recall.
Yeah, no, Ed, I think you'll like it, Ed. If
Yeah.
you check it out, I think matinee's a good call there too. It's not like you're gonna. I don't think you have a bunch of
No,
bratty ass teenagers in there ruining it for you. It's
if you
just fun.
do, take them out one by one. Give them 9
Give
seconds
them
to
9
watch.
seconds. Yeah. All right, let's finish things up here. It was just supposed to be a quick review on
Yeah,
what we've got with Denzel. I mean, I know you're not the biggest fan of the series. I really wasn't as big a fan of the second one. I mean, the
yeah.
first one I liked a lot more. I'm
First one
almost
still my
maybe
yeah.
I
I
was
said
also going to say recency bias. I would almost put this at number one, and then the first one is at two, and then and number two at number three. I'm not sure, but it's been forever since I've seen those. But
yeah.
how would you rank them after
I
seeing
would
the
rank
third
this
one?
as number two because I still like number one the best.
Okay.
2 and 3, they kind of like right now it's because recency bias. This would be number two, but I think they can swap places. But I honestly, if we're gonna watch this again, I'd say binge watch 1, 2, and then go into 3. You
Yeah,
know,
although not necessary, or it's been a long time.
no, no,
Yeah, you're going to be fine this movie.
yeah.
Well,
I
I'll finish with this thought that what I think probably the thing that pleased me the most about it, just from a personal experience, not necessarily the movie stuff we talked about, was that I really enjoy it when I get to have a movie that I can just sit there and watch, and I have to go, okay, when's the messaging coming? When's the trick thing gonna come? When's all
when's
the
putting
stupid
time for
CGI gonna
Denzel?
come out? What?
When's putting time for Denzel? He's getting up there. Isn't he in his 70s?
Yes,
Yeah, dang.
I think he's early 70s. Yeah. He
I'm so
started in a
I'm
movie, I think, in 1980 or 81 called The Big Blue Marble or something like that. I forget what it is.
you
I don't know if
know
that even that's the right name, but
I
it was really funny. And
don't
even then, he was really good. I was like, oh my
I'm
god.
I'm thankful that he never went into the MCU and stuff, the comic book stuff. Like Denzel, it's like he's better than the superhero movies. I wouldn't really want to see him in anything like that. I like the movies he does. And I want more of the action, more of the less drama. Like I said, like for me, this movie was a little bit slower paced, especially the very beginning. After I love the seeing the guy walking in and sees Denzel sitting there,
Yep.
But after that, when he's healing up, that just dragged for me.
Oh, I loved it. I could
Uh,
have watched. I could
that's
have.
the thing.
I
That's
heard the director. I
yeah,
heard the original cut was about 2 hours long, from what I read, and I'm wondering if it does come to streaming, if you have that option, or if you have to wait till it comes out on like Blu-ray or whatever. Because
they're
I
like
would watch it with a little extra, cultural things
yeah,
tossed in there. I would. But then, like, it's weird. I will watch slower and longer movies if they're good, and I know sometimes that bugs you, and I think it's just
yeah.
the amount, what the type of movies that we grew up on. But yeah, something like that just does not offend me at all.
You grew up watching westerns with your folks. I grew up watching James Bond, which was a little faster paced. But I also watched like Dante's Peak and all that other stuff. So I have my viewing is like as far as movies
Yeah.
are different.
Well, a
Um,
few show
well,
notes here. Oh, go ahead.
I was
Finish.
gonna
I'm
say,
sorry.
the also reason I like the more faster pace because the movie doesn't feel like it's stretching out for me, especially with movies getting longer and longer these days. Like How the West was one, I walked into that knowing it's 3 hours,
Right.
and it didn't feel like 3 hours. It felt like like an hour and 40
Well,
minutes.
because it's pacing.
Yeah,
Things are happening. Things aren't speeding up or
yeah,
slowing down.
yeah,
And yeah, I just a lot of movies though can't do that well, and I think that's a big problem with it too. And since a lot of the movies are these paint by numbers and all that, they almost follow the exact same format. So, in
yeah.
a way, whether you realize it or not, I think as a watcher of films, especially the comic book type ones, you know the film before you see it, and you know exactly what's going to happen. So you kind of can feel it speeding up and slowing down. It's just, but when you
Yeah.
get into different directors, some are deliberately slower, some go really slow, some have a lot of talking in them, some have more visuals, some just have weird crap in it, like Lynch, from Twin Peaks and his
Yeah.
movies. It just depends on what you like, and so we do want to capture all that. Speaking of
It,
capturing, we of course had just dropped the second in the Karnstein vampire same-sex relationship movies, or as Professor Pixel got on my nerves, he goes, Lesbian vampires? Yeah, okay. I don't want to degrade it as such. I was trying to take the higher language road there. That's
No,
doing pretty well. We'll
wait,
be doing
wait, wait. Ladies that suck, but only blood. Hey.
sex is just the act in and of itself. The whole seduction part of it too is what's
I
different. And
Oh, sure.
frankly, you don't get a lot of same-sex vampire type things being worked in there that you could do a lot of stuff with.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, you
And
open
it's
up a can of
hammer
worms.
horror
You
films.
open up a can of worms with Pixel now, because you combine vampires, women, and what you need to do is get them into watching the '60s biker girls. All those kind of movies.
Well, we have to bring along Sully. He's a bit fragile, so that's why we have
Oh,
him
he's
on here.
fine. He survived getting a kidney stolen in
I'm not
over
impressed.
in
Sully
Philadelphia.
has a couple of surgeries under his belt that means nothing.
Speaking of kidneys and all that stuff, R.I.P. The guy from Smash Mouth
Who?
died.
What? Huh? Oh, okay. Yes, I
Lead
saw
singer.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Acute kidney failure. Had a really crappy life. I mean, not became famous, got married, had a kid. The kid died of leukemia 6 months later.
Right.
Became an alcoholic, and yeah, he got to the point where I guess he couldn't find him. He went to hospice on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday night. My Monday morning, he was yeah, dude. It sucks. And then I don't know if he was able if he was on a waiting list and he just couldn't, his body just gave up before that, or what or whatever. But or maybe he couldn't date it. His body was so far gone. Kidney would have done anything. But still, man, it's 56 years old, bro. 56 years old.
Oh, I got a buddy of mine that age that's had body parts falling off for years, and now he's 3-4 times a week on dialysis. So I expect to get that call any time now. So
like I said,
things happen.
Like I said, 50. You're in your 50s. 50s is still young.
It can be, but
Wow.
for most 50-year-olds, it's not because of the way they treat themselves. You have to do the work, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean,
yeah, but so
what do you got coming up?
In the next half an hour, I'll be over on my channel, Geeky Puppet Show, talking about the new comic books come out this week. And after that, nothing much until for tomorrow. Tomorrow night on the Geeky Puppet Show, normally don't do anything. We're going to be doing a live action, I guess, a live reading. Usually we do them offline on Wednesdays, give people a break so they can go watch some other stuff. But we're going to be doing some Spider-Man on there.
Now, we had a request for a movie that we were going to be doing Sunday night. Just to let everybody know what it's going to be so they can prepare for it and watch it.
Yep. Diner, I believe, is the one from 1982.
Correct.
Mr. Eric Breen will be joining us this Sunday.
Yep.
And I also saw that somebody requested us that we do Payback.
Yeah, with Mel Gibson. It's a fun film. I loved it a lot.
Is that the Lucy Liu one?
I think it is.
Oh, I'm wondering.
Because there was that one, and then I think a year or two later was Conspiracy.
I believe that was Mr. Ed Brewer that requested that. I might
yummy.
Be wrong.
Yeah, yummy.
Yeah.
Well, it's predictive programming here because Lucy Liu, I ranted and raved about how crazy bad she was in something recently, and there you go. Well, she was in Payback, I think. Yeah. If not, it doesn't matter. Mel Gibson will still enjoy it.
And Rob will have less sniffles by then.
That's true. I had a fever this weekend, and that just broke.
Food.
So, but the show must go on, as they say, right? Yeah. So anyway, all right, there you have it, guys. Obviously, we're lining up requests. I've already been watching several horror movies for the Halloween month coming up, and also before that too. I've watched most of the Halloweens again because they're addictive as hell. I just have them on plan. Just watched Halloween 3. They're so damn good. God, they're so good.
Yeah. I've been watching Miami Vice, going totally different direction. Go back to the 80s and TVs.
Yeah, my advice will have its place here on an Extreme Movie Show. Just the time is not right yet.
Oh, just the scene when he gets the Ferrari.
Yeah, and the third, before we do Diner, of course, we're going to be trying to do a double shot. Professor Pix and I were for one of the time slots, 6 or 6:30. We're going to do the first 2 episodes of the original Mission Impossible TV show. Season 1 does not have Peter Graves from the University of Minnesota in it. It's a bunch of jabronis. You go, who are these guys? I remember Peter Graves, but he was dying to try that out, and it was his pick to pick the show this time. So I'm like, okay. I've been letting him pick lately, so we're going to do that. And then after that, we're going to do the third final Karstein vampire movie of Hammer, whose name escapes me at this point, but it'll be on Tubi, I'm sure, just like everything
Yeah.
else. And I'm sure it'll look good, and we'll be talking
So,
about that then too. Twins
yeah.
of Evil, I believe.
So yeah, Sunday you're gonna have some more cool stuff with Rob and Pixel doing their own thing before the three of us get together. Actually, four of us, because we're gonna be watching reviewing Diner, and then next Tuesday, Ragnarok season 3. We're gonna do a whole season review. So it's on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, go check it out.
I'll say this about Ragnarok. For a lot of the people that I read, I guess locally, say that it's kind of like Twilight, where it's kind of not really much of anything. I really like the way it looks. I liked how they slow play the characters, finding out who they really are.
Yes.
And they do it in such a way where if you're not that familiar with Norse mythology, you can start recognizing some of them and you get educated along the way. And you're like, okay, I remember Thor and he has this hammer. Why doesn't he have it now? What's going on? What's the deal with the big snake? What's the deal?
This isn't Marvel.
No,
Thor. There's no cape.
No.
But he does throw the hammer, and the hammer does come back, because that's from Norwegian lore.
Yeah, they don't overdo it in this show at all.
No, even.
It's a big build-up kind of show. I liked it a lot. You did too, and then COVID happened, so I think it was on hold.
We always said the main actor, he could play Thor, or he could play He-Man, whatever you want to do, or whatever you want to do. This guy has the build to be the next barbarian,
And I think, and you know this better than I do, but Loki, his half brother.
Yeah,
I think this is the best portrayal of him that I've ever seen, because you see how conflicted he is, and everything else there too. He's doing he's a scene stealer to me.
Yeah, he loves his brother, but he's also afraid of the frost giants and all stuff. He's there's always drama going back and forth. And the oblivious mom who doesn't realize that her children are reincarnated gods. it's all in done in Sweden. No, is it Sweden or is it no? They're in Norway, right? Yeah, Norway.
It's in Lapland, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So it's great, and like it's just see everything in this small little town.
I get hypnotized with the outside scenery too.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Location. It's cool. It's so gorgeous. Oh my god. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Equalizer 3, and some show notes here at the end there too. Looking forward to seeing you guys there coming up on Sunday and Tuesday next week too. Like if they'd gotten your requests, let them pile in. Thanks for showing up tonight, spending time with us, and of course those of you, obviously DVD Daddy's a big fan, retweeting us out, and you guys do that too. Really appreciate that. Sometimes we get a pickup here around Halloween just because we try to go on a little bit more, even if it's a pre-recorded thing too. So we definitely have no problems doing stuff like that. But it's a fun time of the year, so just keep enjoying it. That's why we do what we do.
I'm really excited for Sunday. Tim Daly just punching people. Military movie. Just randomly punches like, hey, like next.
Remember, this is a good 10 to 15 years before the OC for all you OC fans. All right, good night, everybody. Yeah, don't forget the Redskins are going to be on too, so maybe I'll have to resurrect that. We'll see. It's such a
Rob's Redskin reviews. Oh my gosh, you get Brad Brewer on there.
I just do it off the cuff really quick. Like I do those things.
Sorry, Ed. I tried to get you some screen time. No.
He'll let me know if he's interested. Hell yeah. Come on. And Maranya, there's a lot of them. She's telling me a lot about Theismann's up there and everything too. So let's stoke in the Redskin fire there. Good night, everybody. Stay extreme.